But that's what really got me about the Old Testament. Or not the Old Testament, about specifically the book of Genesis. And of course there's all those other stories in the book of Genesis that atheists always like to go after, but the story of Esau and Jacob is one that I don't really hear much conversation about, so that's why I decided to bring it up. Anyway, I keep mixing them up. Jacob wrestles a random stranger and extorts a blessing out of him, which, where the fuck did he learn to wrestle? I thought his brother Esau was the strong one who was a good fighter. So, what the fuck, I don't know. And the stranger turns out to be God, so Jacob bested God somehow and extorted a blessing out of God. And God gave him, actually, he renamed him Israel, and he gave him the promise of the land of Canaan, or some shit like that, the Holy Land, which is funny because he also gave Isaac the promise to give him the Holy Land, but was too lazy to carry that out. And before that, he gave Abraham the promise of the Holy Land and was too lazy to carry that out. And he doesn't even give the Holy Land to fucking Israel either, he just names it after him. He actually gives the Holy Land to the Hebrews, which we start getting into in Exodus. And Exodus is what I'm going to start talking about right now. So, we have fucking... Oh yeah, by the way, before Exodus starts, all the Hebrews go down to Egypt for some reason or other. They're nomads, I guess. And they're friendly with the Egyptians, and the Pharaoh loves them and shit. And then we get to Exodus, where a new Pharaoh is born, and he has no fucking idea why there's all these fucking Jews in his land. I have no fucking idea why he's got no fucking idea. You'd think his father would have told him that a long time ago these Hebrews came to our land and now they're friendly people with us and serve us as basically citizens. But no. Oh yeah, I remembered why the Hebrews went down to Egypt. It's because Joseph, who was sold by his brothers into slavery, got sold as a slave down in Egypt, and God was with him and helped him rise to prominence and all that shit, so I guess that's good. But then Joseph turned around and became a total dick, and he was a prophet of God, so God sent down 7 years of plenty on Egypt and 7 years of famine, which I don't fucking know why he wanted to send 7 years of famine down on Egypt. What the fuck did the Egyptians ever do? I mean, to him. Idol worship, I guess, could be one thing, but to be honest, God only ever made himself known to the Israelites, so can you really fault someone for being a heathen if you yourself, your God, are only there to guide the way of one fucking group of people and are too lazy to fucking guide everybody else? So basically, the Israelites came to Joseph down in Egypt seeking shelter because Joseph had made it so that even in times of famine, the Egyptians had stored up a lot of grain, and that's why the Hebrews found themselves down in Egypt. So, back to what I was saying about Exodus. You'd think that the Pharaoh's father would have told him why there were all these fucking Hebrews down in Egypt, and he would have told him that these Hebrews were friendly with the Egyptians and shit like that, but no. He apparently didn't do that because this young Pharaoh enslaved all of the Hebrews and made them kill their firstborn sons. And, of course, Moses, in a papyrus basket, gets sent down the Nile River, found by the Pharaoh's daughter, and I'm not sure why she didn't kill him, because she knew he was a Hebrew. It says right there in the fucking Bible. But she didn't, so that was a good thing that she didn't kill him. I mean, killing babies is generally a bad thing to do. I know we atheists are generally all for killing babies, but I'm not one of those. I'm all for abortion, just not killing babies. There is a fucking difference. Fucking learn it. But besides that, Moses got to live, and he met his cousin or brother or something named Aaron, who I'm not sure why Aaron didn't die, because he was older than Moses and he was also a Hebrew, but that's beside the point. Basically, God talked to Moses, and Aaron was like... Moses told Aaron whatever God told him, and Aaron believed every bit of it. And God told Moses, hey, you know what? I made a promise to your father, and your father's father, and your father's father's father. And, I decided that I've been too fucking lazy, and am going to now fulfill the promise to give you guys, your people, the Hebrews, the promised land up in the north. So yeah, here's what you gotta do for me. You gotta fucking go to the Pharaoh and tell him to let your people go. Let them fucking go! But he didn't say let them go. He actually said lie to the Pharaoh and say that you're taking all the fucking Hebrews and their flocks out of Egypt to go worship for 3 days or whatever. So he told Moses to lie to the Pharaoh, which I suppose would be the reasonable thing to do. I mean, if Moses had told the Pharaoh, hey, we're just leaving your land forever, bye, the Pharaoh would have obviously said no, so lying would have been the good thing to do in that case, which is why God probably would have told Moses to do that. But here's the kicker. Here's the fucking kicker to all this. God said, I will harden the Pharaoh's heart and make him not want to send you out, even though you asked him and said that God told you to ask him to set them free. To go pray for 3 days, which you don't intend to do. So God said, I'll harden the Pharaoh's heart and make it so that he says no, because I want you to tell your brother Aaron to fucking throw his staff down on the ground and turn it into a snake, and I also want you to turn the entire Nile River to blood. It says whenever Moses turned the Nile River to blood, that the Pharaoh's magicians were also able to turn it into blood. It doesn't say exactly that. It says they were able to do the same by their secret arts. I have no idea what that fucking means, because if the Nile River is already blood, how did they turn it into blood? And if not, where do they get the water? Because it said that all the water in Egypt was turned into blood. And for that matter, it said that the fucking Hebrews... not the Hebrews, that all the water in Egypt was turned to blood that came from the Nile, and the Egyptians were forced to dig for their water. It didn't say what the Hebrews drank, nor did it mention that the water that they dug for somehow wasn't blood, so I guess that's how the Pharaoh's magicians could have gotten the water to turn to blood, but that's beside the point. God basically said he hardened the Pharaoh's heart in order for Moses to do that. Then that was to prove that Moses came by the word of God. And God said, even after you do that, I'll make sure the Pharaoh says no, so that you can send plagues of frogs onto him, and to make sure that he knows that you're from God. And then he'll totally say yes. Except that again, I'll make him say no, so that you can send a plague of flies onto him, and then a plague of locusts, and a plague of plague, and a plague of all kinds of boils and shit like that. So 9 plagues descended on Egypt, all because God wanted to. I mean, he's the one who made the Pharaoh say no whenever Moses asked him to let the people go. So, God could have easily gotten around doing that. And, they say that the only reasonable excuse on a moral level that I've ever heard Christians or Jews say is that God was showing the Egyptians, the power of him. Fuck you, God. I mean, that was overkill. Like, I could turning the entire fucking Nile to blood would have been enough of a show of your power that the Egyptians, would be convinced. And maybe not, because the Egyptian magicians were able to do the same thing. And after the plague of frogs, the Egyptians were somehow able to create their own frogs, but not as many. But then there was a plague of gnats that the Egyptians were not able to reproduce. So after the plague of gnats, I mean, there's no way that how I see it, they wouldn't be convinced. And even then, you didn't have to send 9 plagues. I'm pretty sure after like the 4th plague or whatever, they would have realized that on their own that what the might of God really is. And they probably did, except God fucking made the Pharaoh say no. And he made him say no again after the 9th plague because he wanted to fucking kill all the firstborn of Egypt. That totally makes fucking sense. Yeah, redemption for all the firstborn slain of the Hebrews. Yeah, that makes sense. Don't just kill Pharaoh's firstborn son, kill the sons of all the fucking Egyptian households that had nothing to do with Pharaoh's decision. That's justice right there.